Hey there, true believers. So I finally got around to watching Thunderbolts, and I thought I'd put my 2 pence into the pot along with everybody else. Spoiler warning, if you haven't seen the film as yet, I will be blurting out my thoughts on it with reckless abandon. So to copy every other review or post about it, the fundamental plot revolves around Allegra de Fontaine being impeached, and so deciding to get rid of any evidence of her shadier dealings, including some of Marvel's B and C listers. After a pretty decent 4-way fight scene, they uncover Bob, who, unbeknown to them, is the culmination of what Allegra has been trying to hide. But like the plucky young up-and-comers that they are, it only takes a couple of lazy plot contrivances to escape. Bob then sacrifices himself to save the ragtag group, and it's revealed that he has superpowers. Like, super. Allegra takes advantage of Bob to be her new poster child, and our newly formed Thunderbolts, along with Bucky, who was seemingly bored of politics, come to face her. The third act twist is that the process to make the Sentry, like all serums in the MCU, is based upon the super soldier serum that made Cap. The fundamental problem with this formula is that it accentuates what's inside, and the mild-mannered Bob is a broken man. This leads us to the split personalities of Sentry and the Void. The Thunderbolts help Bob to face his own demons, while being forced to face their own, while winning the day and ending the movie as the new Avengers. For me, this is a real mixed bag, and I'm not sure whether to commend them on the relatively brave attempt to tackle deeper subject matter.
I thought it started when my sister died, but now it feels like something bigger.
Or to slap them upside the head for trying to tackle deeper subject matter. The main thing that doesn't work for me in this movie is that it's trying to do too much, balancing the cast of characters, pushing the next steps of the MCU, while tackling themes of mental health and depression. So if I had a criticism, it would be that they needed to pick a focus and then just deal with that. But hopefully those of you that watch my videos do so to see what I like rather than what I don't. So let's break it down and talk about what they get right. And I'm going to start at where I think they did in terms of setting the scene. Robert Bob Reynolds is effectively the MCU's answer to Superman, with all the same power sets and idealistic imagery. But where he differs is that he is both a hero and a villain, each coming out as a separate personality. This works as an allegory for bipolar disorder with high highs and low lows, and acts as the centerpiece by which the other characters come to terms with their own issues. Lewis Pullman does a great job at shifting between the 3 elements of his character, starting with the timid, bumbling Bob, to the strong, defiant, godlike ego of the Sentry, and then the menacing deep void that bubbles under the surface. The Void is the least fleshed out of these, but it's there to act as an overshadowing presence inside of all the characters rather than a character of its own. This is foreshadowed very well in the opening of the movie, where we follow Yelena on a job. Despite performing some dramatic feats, it's all done with apathy. She is simply going through the motions. As she reaches the lab, you can see the silhouettes in the background. This works to foreshadow the Void, but also to visualise the Void inside of Yelena. And let's be honest, the film may have been called The Thunderbolts, but it's really Yelena's movie. The main focuses are on her relationships to her work and life, her interactions with the other characters, and inevitably the kinship that she finds with Bob and her ability to relate to him. They begin to explore this a little with the other characters. John Walker is all front and bravado. He puts on a show of everything being alright, but in truth, his life is falling apart in the background. Alexei Shostakov clings to his glory days, yearning for the chance to be relevant, both as a hero and in the parts of his life that he didn't know he wanted. He clings to the idea of being a father to Yelena without doing the work required to do so. But this is where the explorations seem to end, due to a need to meet the other movie requirements, leaving Bucky as simply a force to move the story along, and Ava Starr woefully underwritten. This leads me to the missed opportunities within the movie, and let's start with Ava. Let's face it, one of Marvel's bigger failings during the first 3 phases was its villains, and Ghost was no exception. Faceless and forgettable for most of Ant-Man and the Wasp meant that she didn't make an impact. So, when she was announced for Thunderbolts, I got a little excited. As with the other Thunderbolts, this was an opportunity at second shot. Unfortunately, with Yelena pulling so much of the focus and David Harbour eating up the screen for the comedic moments, Hannah John Kamen was left with very little to do or to contribute outside of action sequences. In a film exploring a team and issues of mental health, I feel a little more time could have been directed at the rest of the cast. We only know a little about Ava, but what we do know is worth exploration. She lost her parents as a child and was left with an ability that meant she couldn't hold or touch things. This, coupled with the lies told to her by S.H.I.E.L.D. about helping cure her, would make for a potent mix. An inability to trust or be open, while having a confusing relationship to touch and intimacy, would definitely be interesting. There is a synergy between John and Alexei. Both want to be loved by the masses and share in the accolades of Captain America, spending too much time watching the past while willing it to be their present. John ignores his family, while Alexei pretends that Yelena is his, because that's the thing that he manufactured and never got for real. The idea that he could play Papa Bear to John, while helping him understand what should be important, could have been a nice way of bringing the two characters together. The odd one out is Bucky. Having just as much trauma as the others, Bucky is different because he wrestled with his demons. For Bucky, he's always followed, being a pawn in others' games. To me, he's the de facto leader of the group, and the movie could have used him as the reluctant captain that brings them all together and helps them work to be better people. This may have all worked a little better if they'd been assembled, Suicide Squad style, to complete a mission, perhaps to take out Bob. Tension could have been created through mistrust, and each character having their own secret mission to complete, or something to that effect. All in all, it wasn't a bad outing for Marvel, and it gives me hope that they may find their way back to their glory days. Oh, and if you're wondering why I didn't mention Antonia Dreykov, best move they could have ever made.